Okay, Mike, Matt's Mike. I hear myself. That's a good sign. Matt's Mike. Right now on the National Weather Desk, a coast-to-coast winter storm brings snow and ice to tens of millions of Americans.
It is cold, it is snowy, it is windy.
It's very deceiving because it doesn't look like there's a lot of snow on the ground, but it's very slippery.
Our team of 200 meteorologists is tracking the storm and its impacts. Also, a rare February tornado warning in New Jersey.
There's only been one reported February tornado. That was back in 1999.
Caught on camera, a rock slide inside Yosemite National Park.
Which saw the rock sliding, which was crazy.
And why some farmers are worried about this year's maple syrup season.
We're looking really more at the last summer, probably more influenced by that.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Matt Ritter. This morning we are tracking a massive winter storm that is moving across the country. Tens of millions of people from the Pacific Northwest to the Midwest will feel its effects. Let's start in Portland, Oregon, where some of the coldest air of the season made its way into the Pacific Northwest, bringing heavy snow and freezing temperatures. Rain, snow, and ice are expected to continue through Thursday. And those snowy roads can be very dangerous. A Wyoming Highway Patrol trooper nearly got hit by a semi-tractor and trailer along busy Interstate 80. Thankfully, he wasn't hurt, but it was certainly a very close call. Moving east, it's also snowing in Wisconsin this morning, but the intense snowfall won't arrive until later this afternoon. Snowfall up to 11 inches with winds as high as 40 miles per hour are expected. And this morning we have team coverage of this wild weather from coast to coast. Our meteorologists and reporters share their expertise and experience to help you better understand what's happening. We start with meteorologist Christina Ernie, who is tracking the storm for us.
Good morning. A complex weather system pushing its way across the country as we head through the next few days, mainly with some heavy snowfall in spots. We already have winter storm watches, warnings, and even some blizzard-like conditions developing today through tomorrow, especially into the Dakotas and through Minneapolis as well. This heavy snowfall moves from California through the Rockies with more than a foot of snowfall expected. Some icy conditions developing in the system as well, but heavy near blizzard-like conditions expected in Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan, and the Northeast also getting into this snow and ice. We're going to be seeing nearly 2 feet of snowfall into California, more than a foot into the Rockies, and up towards Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan, seeing nearly 2 feet of snowfall. The Northeast getting into nearly a foot, especially northern New England, but ice concerns will also be huge, especially into southern Michigan. For the National Weather Desk, Sky meteorologist Christina Ernie.
Salt Lake City, Utah is experiencing one of its snowiest February days in recent memory. This is what area highways look like this morning. They are snow covered and very slippery. Anywhere between 6 and 16 inches of snow are already on the ground. We have 2 reports, starting with Kristen McPeak, who is out in the elements this morning.
It is cold, it is snowy, it is windy. Take a look here at the road behind me. You can see people are going pretty slowly, I wouldn't say smoothly, but I mean, they're making it to the stoplight and they're able to stop, which is good news considering the amount of snow. And then take a look over here. We actually had a gas station. We actually just had one person pull up, but all morning we've been out here and you could see how empty it is right now.
In North Salt Lake, plows are just trying to keep roads clear.
I made up the big hill, but then it's right when I got to this smaller hill that I can't get up.
And some drivers were having a tough time getting to where they needed to go.
I'm trying to get up this hill to go to my parents' house, which is basically 3 houses down.
Jang was stuck and sliding across the road trying to get up a hill. But after some help, he was able to keep moving.
It's a lot of long hours for my guys. They've put in over 1,200 man hours just with winter this year.
They've been out 37 times this year, tying the 2018-2019 winter for the most mobilizations.
We were hoping that maybe spring was coming and we were going to be done with these. I mean, we like it when it snows in the mountains because we need the water.
I'm getting there.
And a long day for Keith, whose flight from Boise to Salt Lake City was canceled, so he hit the road. How long did it take you to get down here?
I'm going on about 7.5 hours right now.
And with all the snow they've had this season, Utah's snowpack will end up above average. But is it enough to replenish the state's depleted reservoirs and the shrinking Great Salt Lake? An official who oversees water resources says it's an opportunity to keep up good habits.
It's been several years since we've had a good winter, and we've been using up our reservoir stores. So we don't think that this 1 year will necessarily refill all our reservoirs, but it is an opportunity to keep conserving.
Great Salt Lake hit historically low levels last year. Now it's risen 1.5 feet since last November. And those numbers don't include the upcoming spring runoff. And to the Twin Cities, where the snow started falling on Tuesday evening. A winter storm warning went into effect yesterday afternoon and is expected to remain in place through tomorrow. Meteorologist Nick Stewart has more on what's ahead.
In Minneapolis, the city is preparing for up to 2 feet of snow over the course of the entire event, the bulk of the snow falling Wednesday into Thursday. The snowiest February day on record for the Twin Cities is February 20th, 2011, when 11.8 inches fell. That's a record that could fall with this storm. The area is no stranger to major winter storms. The Halloween blizzard in 1991 dropped 26.7 inches of snow over the course of 2 days, the biggest snow event on record in the area. In 1982, back-to-back winter storms brought a combined 37.4 inches of snow over the course of 4 days. The Twin Cities is currently in the midst of the 10th snowiest winter to date on record, a ranking that will change drastically once the last snowflake flies. I'm meteorologist Nick Stewart reporting.
3 people are dead following an avalanche in Washington's Cascade Mountains. They were all members of a climbing club based in New York.
3 people are dead after a group of 6 climbers tried going up Kolchak Peak. The Chelan County Sheriff's Office tells KOMO News the lead climber put his axe in the snow, which made a crack, causing 4 of them to fall 500 feet downhill.
One of those 4 survived the slide. He was able to get to the 3 others and confirmed that they were deceased, and it appeared to be due to trauma from the fall.
The sheriff's office says the victims are a 60-year-old woman, a 66-year-old man, and a 53-year-old man, all from out of state. The climber that survived the fall was injured but made it back with the other 2. As crews focus on finding the 3 that were killed, the weather conditions are making it a challenge.
We also had some pretty significant snowfall overnight, apparently in the area, as well as high winds.
And if I were to tell you this damage was spotted after a tornado warning in a state like Georgia or Alabama, you may not be that surprised. But this is damage on Tuesday after a tornado warning was issued in New Jersey. At this point, there are no reports of injuries. Meteorologist Ryan Mirando has more on just how rare this is for the state.
Tuesday brought extremely rare severe weather to the mid-Atlantic on a climatological scale, meaning a span of about 30 years. This area shaded as the only one where there is a severe probability, only about 1% over that long span, but it's so far away from our area through Maryland, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey, where they had severe thunderstorm warnings, hail reported up to a quarter-sized inch, and damaging wind gusts. They even had a tornado warning just north of Trenton in New Jersey to show really how rare February tornadoes could be. Since 1990, there's been about 88 tornadoes confirmed. Those are those triangles there in the state. But there's only been 1 reported February tornado. That was back in 1999, 24 years ago.
For the second time in 2 years, Antarctic sea ice has reached record low levels. According to the National Snow and Ice Data Center, the sea ice that fringes Antarctica dropped to just 737,000 square miles last week. Until last year, sea ice levels were always above 2 million square miles. Just how big a drop is that? The more than 1.2 million square mile loss is just about equal to the land area of the 5 largest U.S. states: Alaska, Texas, California, Montana, and New Mexico. To space now, where scientists say they may have figured out what's behind mysterious red streaks on Jupiter's moon Europa. Researchers believe the red streaks on the surface are from a combination of water and salts, but they don't match any known substance on Earth. They tried to recreate what they were seeing in a lab. They combined water, table salt, cold temperatures, and high pressure. This created a new type of solid crystal that they believe is what may exist on Europa's surface. Coming up on the National Weather Desk, we'll take a look at how weather played a role in a rock slide at Yosemite National Park. Plus, a look at how California is working to increase salmon populations.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with a look at the Northeast. Sunday increasing clouds today. There's some snow and mix developing back into New York. That's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, we will see some snow in northern New England tonight, 11 o'clock. Southern New England, parts of New York and New Jersey will get that mix and rain. That's round number 1. That moves out Thursday. There'll be a lull. A second round moves through northern New England on Thursday. Between the two, the greatest chance for getting maybe a foot of snow will be up into ski country.
I'm meteorologist Jonathan Myers, and here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region, especially from central Virginia north and eastbound. Going to be kind of a cool and clammy day. Look at all that rain, maybe even some snow and ice up toward Pennsylvania and New York, but that's just outside of our area. That's our latest weather maker. It's a warm front, so behind that, as skies gradually clear out into Thursday, things are going to warm up big time, but kind of a cool and clammy day once again for most of us. Some 60s in southern Virginia, 70s out toward West Virginia. That's the scene here.
I'm meteorologist Vitas Reed. Here's a look at your southeast forecast highs for the day. 80 degrees Nashville, looking at 79 in Macon. Mobile at 75 degrees, 78 Raleigh, 85 in Tampa. Looks like we have a little bit of cloud cover across the area. A few spotty showers moving across this the Mississippi Delta along with that frontal boundary. Looks like that will continue to give us a chance for some showers and thunderstorms across parts of Tennessee and parts of the South. But for South Florida and the Carolinas, looking at nice clear conditions through tomorrow.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
A rock slide was caught on camera Monday inside Yosemite National Park. It happened at one of the most famous features of the park, El Capitan. As Rick Rodriguez reports, weather can often play a role in triggering these types of rock slides.
Rocky Ballesteros was taking pictures of her daughter when a wall of El Capitan gave way.
I'm like, is that El Capitan falling? And then we just kind of looked over there and took a video of it. It's scary.
2 slides on Monday at noon and 7 at night kicked up clouds of dust. Park rangers say thankfully no one was hurt. El Capitan is a massive granite rock. A Fresno State geology professor says slides happen for a number of reasons.
The general public might look at those rocks, those outcrops, and see a solid mass of rock, but they actually have lots of fractures in them.
Professor Pluhar says weather can play a part in rock slides. Ice can get in the cracks and push them open.
A little bit of water in a crack. Ice is larger in volume than water, than liquid water, and so that can cause cracks to propagate. Sometimes it's temperature changes. Sometimes it's rain. Sometimes it's wind.
Professor Pluhar adds that earthquakes can also trigger rock slides. Just last year, there were 52 rock falls in Yosemite.
Also in California, heavy winds caused serious damage overnight. Trees were down on roads, crushing cars and blocking access. A tree crashed into an apartment near Fresno, leaving one person with minor injuries. Also in Fresno, the high winds caused power outages, leaving thousands in the dark. Officials are working to restore power, but more wind and rain is expected today. The folks across the southeast U.S. are experiencing summer-like weather in the middle of winter. Let's go to West Palm Beach, where meteorologist Jennifer Collins explains.
Well, a taste of summer this week as a ridge of high pressure builds across the southeast. Highs are forecast to reach into the middle and upper 80s along the Gulf Coast and Florida. Why is this the case? It's all thanks to sinking air caused by high pressure. Winds spin clockwise around a high pressure area in the northern hemisphere. This is called anticyclonic flow. Dense air from higher in the atmosphere sinks down to fill the space left as air is blown outward at the surface. Pressure, temperature, and density are all related to each other. If air pressure increases, the temperature must increase in turn. And also, the sinking air causes dry conditions, which is why skies remain clear and rain chances remain low. High pressure does not necessarily mean warm weather. The American Meteorological Society defines a cold high as high pressure area with cold air near its center, the opposite of a warm high. These cold highs are commonly found in Siberia and Canada.
It's getting close to maple syrup season in the Midwest, but surprisingly, the warm winter has some farmers worried about how the syrup crop will be this season. Meteorologist Heather Bricka has more from Traverse City, Michigan.
Springtime is when farmers start harvesting for maple syrup across northern Michigan when the weather cooperates. With warmer temperatures this winter, it has some farmers worried if the trees will be ready.
When we get into true production, we like to see above freezing weather, say 38, 40 degrees, maybe a little sun on the trees in the daytime, and then drop down into the 20s at night, below freezing. That seems to be the best for the trees.
Some farmers in downstate Michigan are starting to tap trees given the warmer temperatures this weekend. The current temperatures matter, but Wood says that the weather in the summer impacts their production more.
We're looking really more at last summer as to what our sugar content and our production is probably more influenced by that than what our weather is right now. We've had runs, obviously when it was warm in January, the trees ran, but we're not in production at that point.
The Woods are preparing their trees now and hoping for the best once production time starts in spring.
We've got a good system here. We're pretty consistent in our intake of sap each year. We've got good trees. We've opened things up a little bit, hoping to give the trees more area to grow.
On average, Michigan produces about 90,000 gallons of syrup per year.
A California-based conservation group is expanding in California. The expansion comes after the nonprofit group California Trout secured funding to open 8.5 miles of cold water habitat for spring-rinse Chinook salmon and steelhead trout. In Redding, California, Muna Sadiq explains what the group plans to do.
Its goal is to open up 8.5 miles of cold water habitat for spring-run Chinook salmon and steelhead.
Essentially, the goal is to get those fish through that canyon so they can stay up there over the summertime, hold, spawn, and then their young will go back to the ocean, do their thing, and come back up to their natal waters every year.
Once funding is finalized, they expect the design and build process will take 4 to 5 years to complete. They say the project is not only good for the salmon, but good for the surrounding ecosystem and neighboring communities.
Fish like Chinook salmon and steelhead, they're the canary in the coal mine. So when we don't have them in a watershed, we know that that watershed is not functioning properly. When we do have them in the watershed, we know that the watershed is healthy, and healthy watersheds are good for people. And also, we want the future generation to enjoy these species of fish as well.
For Black History Month, we are honoring African Americans who have contributed to the study of Earth sciences. Recently, scientists named a lunar mountain near the moon's south pole, Mons Mountain, in honor of NASA mathematician and computer programmer Melba Roy Moutun. Meteorologist Emily Gracie has more on this groundbreaking scientist.
It was recently announced that a mountain on the moon has been named after NASA legend Melba Roy Moutun. Melba earned her bachelor's and master's of mathematics from Howard University and was hired by NASA Goddard Space Flight Center in Greenbelt, Maryland in 1959. She led a group of human computers that tracked satellites and gave NASA the ability to predict flight paths and locations of spacecraft in Earth's orbit. The mountain, which sits near Moon's south pole, has been named Mons Mouton. It's a relatively flat-topped but very large mountain, about the size of Delaware. It sits in full sunlight, making it a great spot for future exploration. In fact, the Artemis mission plans to send its solar-powered Viper rover to explore the area in future missions. Melba Mouton's career at NASA continued for 14 years. Prior to her retirement in 1973, she was honored with the Apollo Achievement Award for her contribution to the successful moon landing during the Apollo 11 mission. For the National Weather Desk, I'm meteorologist Emily Gracie.
If you would like to see any of the other people we are highlighting for Black History Month, head on over to our Instagram account. Just search the National Weather Desk and be sure to give us a follow while you're there. And to connect with us on any of our other social media accounts, just scan the QR code on the bottom left corner of your screen. And imagine this, a ball of iron in the middle of our planet. Well, a new study suggests there is a ball right at the center of the Earth, and it's 400 miles wide. Australian geoscientists are also saying they can show that the Earth now has 5 major layers instead of 4. Researchers have used seismic data from earthquakes and volcanoes to help make their findings. They believe this discovery could eventually explain some of Earth's oldest mysteries, such as the behavior of the Earth's magnetic field. We'll be right back.
Well, a very good Wednesday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael. Taking a look at your weather story across the Midwest. It's going to be an active day today. We got a lot of snow across the plains heading towards the Great Lakes and some scattered showers and thunderstorms across the Ohio Valley as temperatures warm up across the Ohio Valley. But it's going to be cold to the north there. Still more snow heading into your Thursday. And by the time that we get to Friday, all of us dealing with some chilly temperatures by that point and a little quieter as well by Friday.
Good morning. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. Here's a look at your regional weather. We're starting off a little warm today, particularly out across the eastern portion of the region, but cooler back out to the west. We've got a dry line and a cold front pushing through. The dry line will create rain, storms going into Arkansas, while the dry air will settle in and create critical fire weather conditions out west. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia, and that's a look at your regional weather.
Well, hi there and a good Wednesday morning to everybody. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. As the southeast basks in unusual warmth and sunshine, we're seeing the reversal of fortune here in the west. Look at the cold air in place over the Rockies and back on into the Intermountain West. Just 11 today out of Missoula and 51 in the south end in Vegas. Big mass of snow, our current weather maker, pushing through the mountains near Salt Lake City and Denver throughout the course of the day. And that's the scene from here.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
Showers of graupel as a line of rain and thunderstorms move through downtown Syracuse Tuesday. Graupel is a type of tiny hail with a diameter of less than 5 millimeters. Meanwhile, Syracuse and central New York will be under a winter weather advisory from Wednesday afternoon till Thursday afternoon. And every day brings a new promise, like this sunrise from Surfside, South Carolina.
For more content like this, follow the National Weather Desk on Instagram.
When you think of allergies, maybe spring and blooming flowers, summer and grass, or fall ragweed come to mind. But did you know that people also suffer from allergies during the winter? Theron Zahn explains.
During the wintertime when the trees are bare and you don't see much in the way of fresh grasses, you might be wondering, why am I still getting allergies? Well, there are some substances out there in the world that can actually give you allergies even in the wintertime. Some of the most common ones are dust, mold, pet dander if you have an animal, especially if you live inside an apartment building, and dust mites, of course. And one thing you might not think about, living in a city maybe, cockroach droppings can also cause you to have an allergic reaction.
We'd love to connect with you. You can find us on all social media platforms. Just search the National Weather Desk. We'll be right back. Thank you for joining us. Tomorrow on the National Weather Desk, we'll hear from a group of students working to become the next generation of storm chasers. I'm Matt Ritter. Make it a great Wednesday. We'll see you back here tomorrow.